It all starts with one idea. Have you ever wondered how today's top CEOs, business leaders, and people who work for the most innovative companies in the world found success? Join host George Davison as he explores the innovators that are shaping tomorrow's world today.
I have a surprise for everybody today. We have Tami Bonnell, and she is the CEO of EXIT Realty. Just a little background on her. She's very accomplished. She has about 30,000 people who work under the brand of EXIT Realty, and 600 franchisees right now out there in their world, and adding about 10 a month. So she's doing a great job as a CEO. So welcome, Tami.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm hoping that today you can talk with our audience a little bit. We really enjoy getting as much mentorship for these young folks as we can. And so maybe we could take two different directions today. If we could map your journey a little as an individual and how you accomplished what you've done in life, and then we'll map another journey, like the business that you're working for and how that came to be. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So I'm sure you didn't start out as a CEO when you were in your high school days, did you?
Absolutely not.
So what were the days like when you were first starting out? Can you take us back into some history?
Actually, we started working really young. I'm a daughter of Irish immigrants, so I started cleaning houses for new construction, subdivisions that were being built. I think I started when I was 11. And I worked on weekends because I could be dropped off in a subdivision and picked up at the end of the day because obviously I didn't drive. And I could still go from house to house, and I didn't need anybody to drive me anymore. So I started out at $2 an hour, cleaning homes, scraping windows, getting, all the new stickers off of everything and making the home immaculate for somebody to move in. And when I was 13 and still doing that, I was sitting in a window, scraping the window, and buyers came in for a final walkthrough on the house to see the house. They were relocating from another part of the country. And they came through, and the wall between the kitchen and the dining room was not supposed to be there. It was supposed to be more of an open concept. And the realtor never shared that with the builder. So there's screaming and yelling, and everybody's fighting, and the woman's crying, and I'm just in the window going, "Dear God, please make me invisible." And when they left, he put his fist through the wall because he was so mad. Now he has to take down the wall, and he's got so much more work to do, and it was because they didn't do their job. And I said, "I think you hit a stud. I think you broke your hand." And he said, "Drive me to the hospital." I lied about my age. And so I drove him to the hospital. And he did break his arm, and so we're driving back and forth, and he's complaining about how hard it is to find somebody that's professional and how hard it is to find somebody that can sell, and he's so frustrated. And I said, "How hard is it to sell a house?" And we started having this conversation, and I said, "You just have to paint the picture for them of what it's going to be." And he said, "You think you can sell houses?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And he said, "Good, start Saturday." And so I got paid $500 a house, and my world changed dramatically. But it was, I think it, all the way back to even being really young, my dad always said, watch for opportunity. And it didn't matter whether that was an opportunity to help a neighbor with, that looked like they were struggling, or an opportunity to teach somebody something, or if it was an opportunity for you to grow. He would say it all the time. He would drive down by something and say, "That's worth money, and that's not, and this is why." And I used to beg to go to the planning board meetings and watch him work. He was masterful with having conversations with people and remembering them, and I just begged, "Please, just let me go." And I don't know too many kids that really got a kick out of that, but I did. I loved working with people and finding out how they ticked, and I took him at his word, I guess, of watching for opportunities, so I was very lucky.
What great advice, huh?
Yeah.
Wonderful your dad shared that with you. For an innovator and an inventor, you can't do anything if you're not looking for opportunity, right? You're always seeking the challenges, what's causing the challenge for that person over there or these groups of people, and if you can find solutions, then they reward you with their business or, bringing you on board. So
that's my statement to everyone we have in leadership: be the solution. And I think that that's really where it starts, right? You can solve people's problems and help them with issues, but you have to really pay attention. And I think the most important thing is that you have to meet them where they are. So often people want to lead somebody and they take them off into here, but that person's right here. And so you have to meet them on their level. You have to meet them on their turf in order to be able to be the solution and help them go to the next level.
Thank you for that, because that's a good transition. So can we go to the high school level? Let's say that our audience is listening to this right now and they're trying to learn about how to navigate into the world, but they're young.
Right.
And what can we give them today that might provide some insight? If you were in high school again, do you have any advice on, let's say, classes or, let's say, clubs or work outside of the school? What thoughts might you have?
Well, I think that it's so nice now because of technology that you can Google literally anything you're interested in, so that you could go to a library and take a course. You could find out what other courses are available where you are. You could get a job in it. But it all starts with being interested, right? Having that healthy level of curiosity. I think you should also, just like this, listening to podcasts is a wonderful way to grow, because you get exposed to so many different ways of life and so many different experiences, and you never know what that aha moment is going to be of, like, that feels like me, that sounds like me.
Right.
I also think you need to surround yourself, and I say this to my children and my grandchildren, you want to surround yourself with people that push you out of your comfort zone, people that make you want to be a better person, people that just make you want to be better. And you also want to keep a few people around you that keep you grounded, that tell you you're getting too carried away, or, you got to be prepared for that. So having somebody that's a little bit like the last Boy Scout around isn't such a bad idea either. But you want to expose yourself to experiences, and the more you experience, the more you can see that there are so many choices out there for what you can be. And a lot of times we stay in a little bubble, whatever our family worked at and the immediate close family and friends around us, that a lot of times we see that as the bubble, and that's the picture of where we are. Or we look on people that are famous and think that that must be a wonderful life. Technology, unfortunately, has brought that to us. And I think that you really need to find out what are those things when you feel the best about yourself. What are you doing? And it really isn't such a bad idea to really put together a list. What are the things that I really enjoy? What do I really love doing? I know for me, the best part of my job is that I get to catch somebody doing something good all the time. And so I can see something in someone, and whether I point them 1 to 5 degrees in a different direction or completely turn them around, people become what you tell them they can be. So finding somebody that can mentor you, that you feel like you really resonate with that person. But even at 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, it's a great idea to mentor other people too. It's amazing how much more the teacher learns than the student.
Oh,
and
so true.
I think that makes a really big difference.
Yes. So if you're in high school and let's say you're in 11th or 12th grade and you can help a 9th grader, then you may get more out of that than a 9th grader.
Not only is that the biggest difference between happiness and fulfilled when you really feel like you're making a difference and you're adding value somewhere, and value definitely equals income. So over time, the more value you add, the more you're going to have. And it's not just income in dollars. It's really in that fulfilled life, right?
Yes.
But you've got to try new things in order to find out what are you really good at, and what, you really do need to expose yourself to more experiences. That's why it's so wonderful to do things like this podcast, because you're going to be able to hear so many different ideas that maybe just didn't come into your world.
Yes.
Right?
Well, that's wonderful, because it's I'm sure there are some young folks out there right now wondering, what is real estate? What does that mean? So let's chat a little bit about that so they understand what real estate is, and maybe how some real estate is more valuable than other real estate, so they can get a little vision there.
Right.
Can you provide some insight there?
Sure. Well, the number one dream in the United States is to own your own home. So it's a pretty good thing to represent. Usually people, especially in their first home, it's the most rewarding thing to help people there's a value in home ownership of really feeling like you belong to a community. In fact, they show that communities are improved the more people have home ownership instead of renting. So you start to see a value there. There are a tremendous amount of people that are making a great living listing and selling real estate, so that they're a real estate agent or they own a brokerage and they're really good at getting more and better out of other people. But there are also great people that represent a certain lane. They represent strictly working with people serving in the military and helping them understand what their benefits are and working down that lane. Or they work with just selling waterfront. Or they work with widows and single moms to teach them how to understand finances better so that they have a more solid future for themselves and their families. I think the more you tie a purpose to it, the better it is. And there are a tremendous amount of people that invest in real estate, and it's the biggest return you can possibly get. And so the more educated you become about it, the better off you are. We find that it doesn't matter what your personality type is, most people will find a lane, whether that's helping people, and you love that idea of helping first-time home buyers, then you need to definitely be more fused to technology because they are, and you need to communicate with them the way they want to be communicated with. But we have people that are helping seniors and helping families stay together so that they're not finding out about what their parents' wishes are when it's too late, after there's something up, right? People that are representing new construction, people that are being amazing innovators. We're seeing shopping malls turned into 55 and older projects because of where we are right now, right? We're seeing hotels going into affordable housing because there are not as many people staying in hotels. So it's so often, and this advice, by the way, for anybody, not just real estate, but in everything. I've always had a perspective of, I do a 6-week action plan so that I plan in advance for the next 6 weeks, right? Yes. How I want people to feel, what I want for expectations, what I need to be learning, who I should be surrounding myself with. But I also look at what I should be paying attention to. So I have the 30,000-foot view, so you kind of have the world view of whether that's your industry or something else you're interested in. So if I was interested in money, the Wall Street Journal would be part of that 30,000-foot view, right? And then you want to have the 2,000-foot view, your individual province or state, so that you have a perspective of what's available where you live, if that's where you want to stay. Because you have to find a need you can fill better than anyone else and fit the demographics of where you are. So you really need to understand that state mentality and what is there and what are there for opportunities. But then you need the street level view of exactly where you are and really having a perspective. And there's 2 other places you need to have a perspective. The person that you're serving, whether you're working in a restaurant or you're owning the restaurant or whatever it is, I need to have a perspective on you. And then more important than anything else, I need to have a perspective on myself. What am I really good at? What are the gifts that I have? Because we all don't have the same gifts, but every single person, regardless of their gift, could be in real estate or another field. Hopefully they find a love for it, because you really want to love what you do, but they can find a gift. We have people that are not necessarily people, but they're so good with technology that they can get all the information and they can do so much background work that they really help somebody, or they can get all the information so that they can really help understand new construction to really help that person make their best decisions, right? Somebody that's amazing with numbers can become an investor. So it's just making sure that you're down the level of your genius. You're staying in that lane of genius.
Yeah, so the field of real estate, buying and selling homes or buying and selling buildings, right? Or land, that's a whole industry in and of itself. Right. And you can make a good living selling the real estate, right? Or managing it. There's all sorts of different jobs that make up that space.
There's short-term rentals. Now we're seeing with all the Airbnb and all that kind of stuff, right? So there's short-term rentals. There's people that are property management that are managing rentals. Some of them are doing it for commercial property. Some are doing it for residential. We have people that are investing in real estate. We have people that are fixing and flipping, right, so that they're going to make money on the other side. We have people that are representing strictly buyers or people that are representing strictly sellers. And then we have people that own the brokerages that are actually better at, they're the kind of people that get more and better out of each individual than they do out of the actual real estate, right? But we're going to see so many changes coming down the pike. We're going to see so many things that are going to change I'm suggesting to all my people they pay attention to municipalities and planning boards because there's so many zoning changes that are happening. And we're seeing properties because of affordability being literally shipment containers, turning them into a home, right? Not just tiny homes, but we're also seeing lifestyle. So we're seeing a subdivision that is 100% organic, and they're all growing things together. We're seeing shopping mall turned into a project, and they're all entrepreneurs, and they all share all the tools in the middle. So there are so many opportunities. It's just being honestly aware of what's out there and looking at, is there a lane here that feels good to me, you know?
Right. Great advice. Thank you very much for that. So let's turn for a moment now that that we have some of that, that I think we understand that. And then let's look at EXIT Realty, because we want to understand not only, how did this person like yourself, how you started out and how you got here, but the company. How did the company start out? Did it start out in a big international building, or did it start in a basement? What happened?
It started by literally renting a very small part of a sod company. I thought they owned the building. It was in a very small part in the back of the sod company. They actually had one room as a training room. They didn't even have an office when they first started. They sold regions in Canada, so they were individual provinces, actually smaller than a province, about 1 million in population each. And then when they came to the United States, we bought individual states. I started off as a regional owner. I bought the rights to the New England states. And by the second year, our founder and chairman recognized that I had some skill set, so I became vice president over the U.S. The following year, I became president over the U.S., and in 2012, I became the CEO. But what I love is that, Arianna Huffington wrote an article, and I think this will really resonate with the people that listen to your show. She wrote an article a couple of years ago on the top 100 companies and how so many of them signed an agreement. Peter Drucker, who's a great business writer, his entire focus was that a CEO's responsibility is to make a profit. And we've evolved over time, and it really took a lot of other companies. Literally, they didn't start until a couple of years ago. The consumer feels that 65% of the consumers feel like a company should give back to the communities they serve. They feel like they should make sure they help with mental health. They help with an opportunity for all of their people to grow, where it was just the bottom line before. But we started that as a company. As an entire organization, we knew the foundation when it started. So our founder and chairman, 1996, so think of how long ago that was, money from every transaction goes to charity. We've actually contributed over $6 million to charity. We started off, and we're always, because we're privately held, we can move like a speedboat. So we started off with partnering with Habitat for Humanity, donated $4 million to Habitat, and we all built houses together. And then we asked those questions, what if? And boy, is that a great question to ask yourself. What if we just did something a little different? And so we wanted to touch more lives. So now we have the spirit of EXIT, so we can touch thousands of communities at a time. And so our offices or agents, they put together a charity and do a fundraiser, and EXIT matches the funds. And so we're able to touch so many more lives in such a short period of time. And the office gets closer. They create a culture. They're part of the community, and it really makes a difference. We wanted to make sure everybody felt part of, so our company has residual income that's provided for anybody in the company can introduce an agent into the company and receive residual income. But administrators don't end up doing that, so we actually do a bonus for the administrative staff, so money from every transaction goes into that, and in January they get a bonus from EXIT International, so we can retain really good people by treating them well.
So it's important that you're attracting, hardworking people who have found something that they like, and they can make a good contribution to what you're trying to build, right?
Right. So we looked at the top 7 things that people in this industry want. Number 1, they want leadership. So we made sure that we sold regions so that people would own individual states or provinces. We taught them public speaking, because he or she who speaks leads, to make sure that they really understand that opportunity. And we actually turn down more people than we accept as franchisees, so that they know that it's going to be a good leader that's responsible, that's in that marketplace. Then they want education. People that are top in the business want education. So we provide education from every single angle. I just got my license, what do I do now? All the way to the consummate professional making millions of dollars. Webinars, techinars, live interactive, total immersion, so that we can teach them the way they learn best. Number 3, they want help with technology. And that's so important. It's the help with, because implementation is the issue,
Mm-hmm.
right? Getting them to be able to implement the tools. So we actually have a vice president of technology engagement. She speaks English, Spanish, and technology, and she teaches them how to utilize it. So they actually bring their device and learn hands-on so that they will actually apply it instead of leaving them to fend for themselves.
Right.
Number 4, they want help with the details. We had a conversation about that earlier, but the help with the details. So technology, single entry, user-friendly. Now I have help with the details so I can be in front of people, which is where I want to be, right? Number 5, they want a marketing program they can track, so our marketing is intuitive. Number 6, they want image. What better image than people giving back to people like our charitable organization and giving back to everybody within the company so that we're really paying attention to it. And number 7, they want a vested interest, so that's why residual income, if we're in the same office together, I'm going to want to help you because as you do better, I do better, but it creates this unbelievable culture and synergy in the office so that it's much like a family. Everybody can't wait to help each other. That's made a huge difference. We knew that foundation going in. We weren't winging it. That was the foundation we were going to build on. So our entire organization was built on human potential.
Wow. Oh, my. That's
Imagine
wonderful.
That. Yeah.
So you believe in the human potential. That was going to be one of my questions, close to one of my questions for you today. Wow, we'll skip that one because you just hit that one right out of the park. Okay, so let's chat a little then about what led you in the business to achieving this CEO position. You didn't get here overnight, and I'm sure you had some ups and downs along the way, right? We all fall down. We need to get back up. Can you talk a little bit about some of your, let's say, failing your way forwards as well as some victories?
Yes, I think actually failure is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a martial artist, right? My whole family does martial arts, and the first thing they teach you in martial arts when you start taking it seriously is how to fall down. The first thing they teach you is how to fall because you will.
Right.
And I think that that's such a good thing to know that at the very beginning that you're gonna fall. If you're not taking chances and you're not jumping in with both feet, you're probably missing some opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I was really lucky to be around my dad. The biggest thing he said all the time was watch for opportunity.
Right.
And so it didn't matter what that opportunity was, and I think that was really a great chance at jumping in. But, you know, we've been through a few recessions, and so I was in the middle of companies that, a couple perfect examples. I was working with a company, and we hit the worst recession, and we were selling our home in Tennessee and moving back up to New England with 3 young children. And the sale to our house fell apart because the market tanked, and I needed to be up to do the job. And in the middle, because we couldn't leave the home behind, I actually had to get a different job, and it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I actually sold labor, and I had to do it for 12 weeks until we got the house sold to be able to move up to a new area, and it taught me so much about people in such a short period of time. It was absolutely incredible. In the beginning, I was scared to death. I was finding people that were homeless, finding people that were coming in and getting paid by the day that had health issues, some mental health issues, and some people that even had addictions. And so it was a very scary environment. But then I realized that people are just people, and I realized most of them, they were just really hungry. And so I started baking bread. No kidding. I baked banana bread and all these kinds of bread, and I would bring it in there so that I could feed them before they went to work.
Nice. And
a lot of them would take that food with them because they had family to feed that they didn't have the money to feed. They got paid by the day. And it just, that humility from that lesson was just unbelievable. I was really successful very young, and so it was really good for me to have a comeuppance and really realize that you don't have everything instantly. You cannot develop character if you haven't had experiences where you failed. I've failed in jobs that I was not qualified for, and I definitely didn't belong doing. And in fact, with EXIT, when we first, we were really building, and we were building like crazy, and then the recession hit. And our company, even with looking at all of these obstacles, we were a company in Canada. They don't have any foreclosures in Canada. So when the recession hit in the United States, and they saw all these transactions that weren't coming together, they didn't understand because they have the best banking system in the world in Canada. So these people with so little of a down payment and now struggling, we had all these homes that were underwater, and short sales back then weren't really short, right? They had to go through a foreclosure process, and there was just a tremendous range of emotion. And so myself and the founder, I was president over the U.S. at the time, and we got a call from our chief operating officer, and here we are sitting in a hotel lobby on this phone call, and she said, we're going to run out of money in 90 days.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm responsible for thousands of people that are in the company, and I introduced them into the company, a good chunk of those brokers and regional owners into the company, and the most magical thing happened. All three of us at the same time said, we're not laying anybody off. We built this company on human potential, and humans are too valuable. And so we decided we would outsell and outthink our way out of the recession, and we did.
Good job.
And so that built a position of trust with our people. And I'm telling you, I would go 2 weeks' time, at least 2 nights a week, I never went to bed. I would go out till 5 o'clock in the morning, drive home, take a shower, and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
It was unbelievable. But the respect and the level of trust that we got from everybody when COVID hit, our competitors were laying people off with just a broadcast email, so nobody even got a personal conversation. 150 to 300 people, just let them go like that. Or they do a Zoom call but not look at anybody's faces. And we said, what are we going to do? And it wasn't just us. We said, we're not laying anybody off. We'll take a cut and pay. Everybody in leadership, we're responsible. We're going to take a cut and pay. I tell everybody all the time, my responsibility is for our people first. Nothing else matters. The rest will take care of itself.
Yes.
And so we put together a stimulus package worth in excess of $50 million, and we taught them Eckhart Tolle, and we taught them meditation and yoga, and also how to ramp up their business for us to get back out again when they were sheltered in place. And it wasn't just the people in leadership this time. It was everybody all the way down to the person answering the phone, because they felt trust from how we handled a crisis during the recession. They all trusted us and had complete trust, and everybody raised their hand and said, how can I help?
That's wonderful. So you brought these skill sets into the organization, and you're teaching and leading your organization with these kind of basic principles. And that's how you build a stable organization. So people trust you. And as a young adult, and you without a whole lot of experiences yet, you're not expected to have a whole lot of life failures yet. But if this kind of thinking sounds attractive to you, if you're the kind of person that likes to help others, gets out of bed and wants to go do things, be proactive, this is what it sounds like to be a leader and to be in business to help others. So that's very helpful information. Can we continue?
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot more here. We're going to unearth it, Tami. So did you go to college?
I didn't finish.
You didn't finish?
I didn't finish. I started making so much money, I decided to stop.
Good for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
and it's been through waves, so it wasn't just about the money. But I found my passion, right? So I didn't finish. I stayed passionate about the lane I was in.
Yes. So that's important, because sometimes students are saying, hey, you have to have a college degree in order to get anywhere in the world, and that's not true. I mean, that can be your path if that's the path that's right for you, or maybe you go and get a couple years under your belt and you find your passion, or you're in high school, you graduate from high school and you find your passion. But sometimes it seems as though people paint this as there's only one path, and that's just not accurate. One of my mentors said to me when I was young, George, you're going to get a degree. And I said, oh, well, why is that? And he said, well, because you need that piece of paper. And if you don't have that piece of paper and everything gets bad in the world, at least you have a leg up on somebody who doesn't have the piece of paper from the college, right? And I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. Well, I later found out he never had that piece of paper. He only went to high school.
Right.
And his whole life he wanted to have a college degree. It was important to him. And so he reflected that upon me. And but, of course, everybody has their own path. So if you find what you love and you're passionate about it and you put the hours in and you're helpful, people will notice that, won't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you can get involved in other organizations that you're passionate about, even if it's some sort of charity or some sort of club in school, a lot of times you can find your passion by accident.
Right.
You know? I mean, just getting involved in other things.
Yeah, so true. I got involved with Boy Scouts, and I loved science when I was younger, and it led me to innovation and invention. And so, I mean, they didn't have a class on invention when I was growing up, you know. So we had to kind of invent the class on inventing. And it's fun because it's always different, a new challenge. But you have to really want to solve challenges for people. If you can't do innovation or invention if you really are looking at things as it's just going to be a job. No, you must bring your own observational talents and a desire to do good, and then opportunity will be found.
That's right. And, you know, the happiest you are is while you're growing. And so you don't want to be in a job that you're just going to atrophy and that it's just a job.
Yes.
It's just about going and getting that paycheck. You really want to find something that can be a passion project for you.
So, knowing what you know today, what advice would you give to a young person who might say, I want to get into the real estate or, you know, the buildings and selling houses business? Well,
you know what? It's funny. They actually, you can go to college for real estate now, which they did not have prior to. So you can actually go to college for real estate and study a lane that you want to be in. But I would recommend going, even being an intern in a real estate office where you live. If you have any programs like that are in high school, a lot of times they give you an opportunity to be an intern, or maybe even go and be an intern on, you know, for half a day on Saturday mornings, or see if there's an opportunity to shadow someone, answer the phone, those kind of things, so that you get exposure to it and you can see, does this fit me? But, you know, the wonderful thing, and it's not to put a plug on EXIT, but we really wanted people to have a work-life balance. We really wanted people to have a lifestyle. So we have, when you kind of know what you want, you can go down that lane. We have a lot of people that served in the military, so they strictly work with military, and they teach them all their benefits, and they help them get into the opportunity for home ownership. We have a group of women in Texas that they call themselves the Wolf Pack, and they wanted to be parents first. So 5 women bonded together. They make more money than they ever would. All of them are in 6 figures. They work part-time, and they cover for each other, so that if one has a school play, the other one covers. They all cross-train so that they can serve that person. That person's getting 5 people for the price of 1. All of them are making more money, but they're getting to be where their priorities are. They're getting to actually raise their kids.
So over 6 figures for the audience means over $100,000 a year, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, just want to make sure they understood that. That's a little more business lingo. Okay, so let's see here. Do you believe anybody can become successful? So if I am from a broken family, maybe my mom and dad are divorced, I may have been, I grew up in a foster home, let's say, and but then I have students who are coming in from wealthy families. They have a mom and a dad. Each of these groups have their challenges. The wealthy kids have too many things given to them usually, and that makes them not work hard, which doesn't lead to opportunity eventually. And then you have some other children who may not have a mom or dad around. They don't have exposure and good advice from mom and dad, so they don't really know where to go in the world. And they're curious about, or scared. What am I going to do? So do you believe that any young person can navigate the ladder of success?
I absolutely do. And I've witnessed so many people that were, I just had a conversation with a broker yesterday that the only time they ever got Christmas presents was when Red Cross showed up, right? Mm-hmm. And so they have so many stories of the Salvation Army coming in and that being their only gifts and that being their only food, and so many of them not knowing. We have a regional owner that's in Mississippi and Alabama. She didn't have running water, and they didn't have any running water, and they had no electricity.
Wow.
And she lived on a farm, and they had to literally grow or kill what they ate, and that was it. And she didn't know that she didn't have anything until she got to school. And, man, she was so abused by other kids from the way that she grew up, and she was bullied like crazy, and you wouldn't believe what a strong, elegant, professional woman she is and how many people she's helped and how many people whose lives she's changed. I've witnessed people that were addicts that are now helping entire communities and rebuilding entire communities, building homes all across the community. You can do anything you set your mind to, and I think, now we have such an opportunity for exposure because you can have a cell phone or be on a computer and you can Google absolutely anything you're interested in. You can watch TED Talks. You can listen to podcasts. I'm a bookaholic. I am a chronic readaholic. There's no 12-step program. I probably read about 300 books a year, and it's always giving you another level of curiosity and another opportunity to grow. And all of those things, especially with there being a library, even if you don't have the technology at home, you can go use it somewhere else, or you can go use it at the school. And once you show interest, it's amazing how many people are going to be interested in you and wanting to help you because you showed interest. It takes, I say this to my kids all the time, but it takes 10 seconds of courage. That's it, 10 seconds of courage to ask somebody for a little advice or a little help, or say, I'm interested in this, can you give me a suggestion on where I should go? And you wouldn't believe how many people, most human beings are inherently good by nature, and you wouldn't believe how often they're willing to absolutely help you. I travel, and I normally, when we're not in these circumstances, I speak a couple hundred times a year. And right now it's probably, this year it'll probably be about 60, and then it'll go up over that. And I always go into communities and find an opportunity, as long as my time permits, to go into a school or to go into a university. And I know there's tons of other people that do it too. And sometimes it just takes somebody asking, right?
That's right.
Hey, I'd love for you to give us some advice, or I'd love to bounce something off you, or do you have a few minutes? And most people that are successful, by the way, they went through a lot to get there, so they know what it feels like. So they're absolutely willing to help somebody else.
Oh, that's great. So there's hope out there, all of you out there who are wondering where you're going to go in the world as you get a little older. Just stick with it. Build your basic building blocks. And speaking of building blocks, it sounds like in your industry, one of the building blocks is storytelling.
Yes.
Right? And that's part of our course. A third of our course is all about how to be a good storyteller. Because if you're an innovator and you can't get out to the world what it is you're trying to do, no one will understand, and your innovation won't go anywhere.
Simon Sinek said it better than anyone else. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Why you do what you do. And so when you can come up with a compelling story of why you're doing this, if you're selling any type of innovation or you're delivering any type of message or why you want to see it happen, and you can just paint that picture for somebody, it's amazing on how far it will take you. I believe firmly in storytelling. I can tell you for sure that's probably the couple of things that I've done that have made it so that I have gotten to where I am, and I sold my way to where I am, really, is I did more homework on the person than the product. So I always made sure I paid attention to the person that I was in front of.
Yes.
And built a strong connection with them so that if they had a passion project, I'm not going to share something that's mine. I'm going to find out more about what's really important to them and where they want to go. But there's always a story that you can share around it and have that conversation. So I'm going to give you this handful of things that the younger you start it, the better. Personalizing so that you find out what's really important to another person. You will have so much more rich relationships, and you will be incredibly fulfilled. I've always done my whole entire career a 6-week action plan, so halfway through the month I plan in advance for the next month. And for you in school, that might be, I have a science project in 4 weeks. Who should I be talking to? What should I be learning? What should I be listening to? What should I be paying attention to? You have an opportunity to go interview somebody, and you can go look them up first so that you can get the most out of that mentoring opportunity. You have a family event that's going on. How can I make everybody feel like $1 million? It doesn't matter what it is. It works while you're in school, and it works afterwards. And, you know, the more you do it, the better you get at it. We should be living with deliberate intent, not by default.
Okay, so let's kind of break that down a little for our audience.
Okay.
So I'm a student, let's say, and I know that in 2 weeks I have a big test coming up. So if I plan my time properly and I get to studying earlier, rather than waiting to the last day or the last evening before the test to study, my stress level goes down, right? So we have good stress and we have bad stress. Good stress in the world we are in is, well, sure, we know the test is coming in 2 weeks. I feel the stress, but I'm already preparing for that. So I'm not under intense pressure right before the test is going, right? And it sounds similar to your 6-week plan.
Break it down into chunks, small chunks, and then it all becomes achievable, and it doesn't become overwhelming anymore. There's a great book called The Kaizen Way, and it's doing small things to impact really big change. If I was flying a plane from California to Pennsylvania and I adjusted it 1 degree, I'm probably going to end up in Boston by the time I get across the country.
Right.
And you don't realize that that's how severe it can be. So, wanting to exercise, just putting my sneakers at the end of the bed is much more likely that I'm going to exercise that next day, right? Just putting them on. It's just making those small changes. And the same thing with having a test or any type of homework. If I can break it down into chunks, and then I'm not going to be as anxious about it. If I have anything I'm anxious about, the more I learn about it, the more equipped I am when I get in front of it. So, and you can do it for your personal life too. It doesn't just have to be your professional life. If you were in a play and you're rehearsing every day and you're breaking it down in small chunks, by the time you're there, you've got everything totally. It's not just memorized; you're actually acting, right? Because you've owned the role.
So we don't have our confidence in the beginning, but we keep trying and we keep getting up and doing it again and again, and eventually we get confidence and we go in and take that test in 2 weeks, or we get up and we do the play and it comes out beautifully, and that's planning.
And celebrate the wins.
Yes.
When you did it, really look back and try and hold on to that. At the beginning of every day, I close my eyes and I take 2 minutes and I ask myself, how do I want today to go? And I visualize the whole entire thing. And it comes out closer to that every time because of the fact that you have a picture. But at the end of the day, and this is more important, at the end of your school day, at the end of your work day, when you're going to bed, ask yourself what worked today and write it down. Because then you're starting the next day from a position of strength. And that really does make a difference because you'll start to see the steps you're making instead of the things that you're not achieving.
So you have routines. It sounds like you put shoes out. That helps you to know that you want to get your exercise in. When you're writing down your win from the day, that's a great thing. What other do you have any other routines that might be helpful to pass along?
I think that you always challenge yourself. So you start to get to know yourself and you know what's going to bring the most and the best out of you. For me, I need a big challenge. Physically, for me, I need a big challenge. So right now, I'm a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo, and I am studying to be a master. And it's going to take me four more years. But it's worth it because I have a mission, right?
Yes.
I've done a triathlon, a marathon, and it's always been that I needed to have a big goal in front of me. It might be that you have a big goal in front of you, or it might be that you need to just take some really small steps today and look at, okay, I'm making progress. Our founder and chairman has this great statement, if my sailboat is in the water and it's pointed in the right direction, even if I don't feel like it's moving, I am making headway. And it's so true, because some days you don't get tons done, but there's always something that worked. There's always something that you have accomplished. And I think that writing down as much as you can possibly journal about what your dreams are and, really visualizing. So I do this exercise with my kids all the time, and I think that it works really well, and actually grandkids now. So December 31st, 2021, you've accomplished X. How do you feel? Close your eyes and feel that feeling. And then they're like, oh, that would be so awesome. And I said, so every time you feel like you're going to slow down or you get frustrated or you miss a step, close your eyes and picture that. December 31st, 2021. This is where I'm at. How do I feel?
Oh, that's wonderful.
And stay tied to that emotion.
Yes. So that imagination and emotion can serve you well in life.
Absolutely.
Tami, you've been so kind to our guests today. I can't thank you enough for being on the show. We wish you the best of luck, and I'll always behave myself when I'm around you. I know you're this Taekwondo expert now, but thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
out.
It was great. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
For more information about the innovations and ideas changing tomorrow's world, tune into Tomorrow's World Today, now streaming on Science and Discovery, or visit tomorrowsworldtoday.com.